Lorna, thank you. It muted you. Can you? Thank you. Good to see you. Wow, it has been weeks. We've been trying to get together, and I am so glad to have you join me on this live stream, and know that you just got back from a big trip and really pushing with Freedom Lifestyle, which focuses on leadership and the ways we can build better leadership. So I will let you have the floor and I will chime in.
Yeah, well, hey, Tina, thanks for having me on your platform because I know we just met and you don't know what is going to come out of my mouth.
Don't worry.
I promise you it will help your community. I know you support business owners to create more revenue from the revenue they already have coming in, which is like, that's such a gift. I remember. So you don't know this about me.
Okay.
By the way, let me just introduce myself. Hi, my name is Lorna Sherland, and I am a leadership coach and business strategist, and I help female entrepreneurs who are plateaued in their business and their life to find that next level of freedom to skyrocket their income. So I was about to share with you that back when I was in corporate America, I was the one in accounting who was a penny pincher, believe it or not. And if there was a penny missing, I would find it because I was the controller. I started at the bottom of the totem pole as a biller in advertising. And when I left corporate America, I left as a controller in an advertising agency, which I told, by the way, that if they didn't stop spending the way they were spending, they were going to go out of business. I left on 9/6/2001, 5 days before 9/11, and they went out of business exactly 1 year later. So
wow.
When somebody says, pay attention to the penny, if Tina tells you pay attention to the penny, pay attention to the damn penny, okay? That's all I
Love it. You're right. That's the job that I left as a W-2 before I started this full time. I was a financial controller and I worked in real estate property management in single family. I ended up going in right about 8 months into COVID. So the big factor at that point was collections. How are we going to work on getting all this money that was now 8 months or so behind from all these residents when the government's telling you not to worry about paying your rent? Well, the strategies I put in place from my previous career path as a caseworker in Section 8 and working in financial homeownership, thankfully I had that background, so I was able to take the bulls by the horn. New job, new area and my education and background really helped me bring everything that I had in me to the forefront and make it happen, and brought in over $750,000 in 7 months. The whole team worked round the clock to make that happen. Our delinquency stayed very well managed. We never really suffered, and then we just kept pushing, making sure people stayed in their homes, investors were being paid, and getting the services and support that the residents needed to continue to pay their rent for those that really had to do a lot of paperwork, for the money that was coming in. So yeah, I get you on the money. If you don't have it coming in, I know many companies and property management companies all across suffered greatly when residents were being told by the government not to pay your rent. And so how did many others manage? I don't know, but I know where I worked, we did everything we could. We hit a brick wall. We knocked the wall down, went around the wall, kept doing that until we succeeded in making sure we worked to keep everyone in their homes as much as we could.
Yeah. And what did it take? So the question the way my brain works is, what did it take from you to to be that person for not just the homeowners, also the real estate investors in that space, right? And it's, again, it's leadership. It's all leadership. I'm telling you, nothing happens without leadership. What does it take for a company to realize that they get to hire somebody like you to alleviate the pain that they're feeling when their receivables are low, right? It's all leadership, right? It's all a matter of like thinking about what's the vision that you have, how do you get there, right? There are a couple of steps to that, right? How do you get to that vision? And reverse engineering, which is probably what you did, right? They had a problem, you reverse engineered it, you came up with the solutions, then you implemented it, and then they made money, or they increased their revenue, they increased their collections. It's all leadership. So the key is, how do you lead yourself so that you lead the company in a way that creates the revenue for yourself, right? How do you do that?
It's background, a lot of skill set, background, and determination. And Lorna, I use the word transformative leadership, not transactional.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Because, and so we were talking about, before we got on live, we're talking about that the employee in a company that is not performing to the level of which the expectation was when she got hired, right? Well, one of the things I know people do in the corporate world is they fire people when they're not performing. Well, that to me is not leadership. And in my experience in this country, we experience top-down leadership, right? And if the person at the bottom isn't performing, they kick them out the door, as opposed to leading them in a way that causes them to step up their leadership so that they can perform and have the results that the top level leadership is looking for. See, what I know for a fact, because I experienced it, is that top-down leadership doesn't work, because top-down leadership has this hierarchy that kind of separates people. But what if everybody was on a level of self-leadership, on the same level of self-leadership within the position that they're in within the organization? That's a whole different conversation. You see what I'm saying? And what would it do to raise morale, raise the culture, and all the things that allows an organization to flourish, right? And expand. And create more income. Because when you have self-leadership, when you create self-leadership within your organization, automatically people become vested in the company, right? They become vested in the company. They're going to perform better, right? Because they have autonomy, right? That's when they start saying, my company this and my company that. They're getting a paycheck, right? And they're talking about my company, because they have autonomy. So how do you, as a business owner, a corporation, how do you instill that self-leadership into employees so that you create that culture of autonomy, right? And it all starts with the leadership. And how does the leadership lead themselves, coming out of that ego of, I'm the boss, do as I say, not as I do?
Yeah. That ego has to be left at the door. I know, in my roles, in all the roles, not just my current one, that one was the challenging one because of the economy and things that were going on. But I always came in with an approach that I was not superior from anyone. I always wanted everybody to own their role. I was there to help, but not micromanage. I don't agree with any of that. If you are having to micromanage someone after their training, that's definitely, you got to reel them in, because you hired them for a reason, right? Reel them in and let's see where the problem is and let's get it corrected. There's so many tools and ways to approach your team. And that's what I did. I used analogies to help explain things. I would use comedy to help the stress. You know how accounting is. I use comedy just to help with stressful situations, especially at month end. And then you throw a COVID in the mix. Yeah. That even adds more stress. And then you have inflation right when you think you're over that hump of inflation kicks in. And then you have a new challenge to keep the morale boosted in the team. You have to also know that, you don't know it all, right? As leaders, we don't know it all. We
Yeah.
rely on our team to offer us insight and strength as well, because we don't know it all. Just because we're in a leadership position, a lot of people think that. But we look to, we look to people for their smarts and intelligence. And again, it goes back to why they were hired. You were hired for the skills and the assets that you brought. Now, the attitude, personality, and all that other stuff that ends up coming out sometimes after the fact.
Yeah.
And then that's where more additional training and discussion has to be, because it can be personality conflict, ego. Maybe somebody got a promotion and they've never been in that role before, things of that nature. So there's more than just education. One thing I've learned, Lorna, in my career path is I've met some of the most well-educated people in my career, and I've met people that only had high school degrees. Sometimes in a lot of my training, the folks with the high school degrees had the best attitudes, the best drive to succeed. And then those with the degrees just felt like some things were beneath them. And it would baffle me for years over that. And I don't know where that's an ego mentality. Get rid of the get that out of your head. Yes, we all know you're educated. Everybody's smart. That's how I say everybody in this world is smart for what they are, for what they're hired. It's how you apply yourself and the determination, tenacity, and drive to succeed is what matters the most. I don't care if you have a PhD, a associate's degree, or a high school diploma, or even a GED. Some of the best people in our world never graduated college nor finished high school. And look at their career path. Determination is one thing that got them to where they are. And believing in themselves. The confidence that you have in yourself will get you really far.
Yeah. I could take that all you just said in a whole bunch of different ways. Let me just go back. Let's go back. I would love to rewind a little bit and talk about vision. That's because that's my wheelhouse, right? If we go back to the conversation of when an employee, you're building the culture and you're hiring the person, and you want them to do the things that you want them to do. Well, the one thing that I know, and I've not been in corporate America for over 20 years, but I can say that it's still the culture in corporate America. When you're hiring somebody for their skills and their skills alone, most corporations, most HR hiring services, all the things or whatever they call them now, recruiting companies, and even the recruiters or the HR people, they are hiring based on skills. The piece that I think they're missing is selling. You remember how I said, if you create a culture, if you create the autonomy going in, that eliminates a lot of things, right? And what that looks like is selling the vision of why this person is a good fit for the organization. Right. Whole different conversation. Yeah. Whole different conversation. Because when you're in an interview and you're talking to the person and you're seeing and you're listening to the vision of that person for their life. Okay, why do I want to work for you? It's because this is important to me. This thing that you're producing in your company, that's important to me, and I want to be a part of it. Or this thing this paycheck that I receive from my services, from my skills. See how the difference? Yes, it's still a skill, but it's like, how do you incorporate the skill to make a difference for them? This skill that I'm bringing to you, when you pay me for that skill, I'm able to do this, that for my family so that they can have that kind of life. Do you see the different conversation? This is not a conversation that's happening in the hiring process in corporate America, at least not that I'm aware of. But I strongly believe that if this was the conversation, it would completely shift the culture of the company going in, so that you're not backtracking and firing and have like the retention rates like really horrible in your company. But when you have bad retention rates, you got to look at your leadership and how you are hiring into the position and what you're missing. right? Because here's one thing I teach. There's nothing happening over there, meaning everything is happening with you. Everything is happening with you. That's leadership, right? Not this top-down thing that we're used to. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You gotta say, what do you got, Tina? What do you got?
Yes, leadership. It is definitely so important. You know, you've seen my comical side, and it's sadly that's natural. Sometimes I don't even realize it. You know, people bring up a topic, or there's a moment, or there's a stressor, right? There's a stressor. And, you know, it just has a moment of, you know, you have to have a moment. I know being in finance for so long as I have been, I guess I've just developed, you know, ways to deflect. I'm not, I don't like to yell or argue or have debates or anything like that. Let's talk like human beings and throw popcorn at each other or something, whatever. Just make it happen. You know, there's ways to talk to people, and it is all about your delivery. You and I can say the same exact sentence, but it's the way you deliver it. And that's one thing I learned about my boss from the property management company. He's phenomenal in the way that he leads and speaks and how he talks, and he has everybody own their position. And honestly, if it was not for him and his guidance and his support, when I was about to rip my hair out sometimes with all the craziness going on during COVID and the inflation in the court systems, and you know, me and my team handle the evictions and utilities and all that nightmare. But if it wasn't for him keeping me grounded and talking me through processes and things of that nature, and our attorney at the time, you know, I would not have survived, because that support that was highly needed during a very stressful time, when a lot of things that we generally would have had abilities, we were locked. The courts had us locked. The government had us locked. We were so limited in so many different ways that we just didn't know. It was new for everybody. We were literally learning as we were going, from the government agencies that were providing the assistance to the magistrates at the courthouse, to legal aid, to the attorneys. We were all learning a whole new world and reviving the company at the same time. So when I say it was madness, and I would refer to the team, I called it the trauma center. Welcome to the trauma center.
but that you're speaking right into what we're saying here, right? Which is the way your manager led you is all about how he was leading himself, right? The only way for him to have led your team the way he did was he kept the vision, number one. What's the outcome that you guys are looking for, right? And then, because no matter what, somebody was going to do something, right? If you guys didn't fix the problem, somebody was going to fix the problem. So it was a matter of like, who's going to think about it first, based on how they're looking at and keeping the vision, the outcome ahead of them, like right in front of them, so that they can lead the team to that goal, you know? So that's some powerful stuff. Whoever that guy was, stick with him.
Oh yeah. I give him a lot of praise. I will announce he's Scott Winslow. He's our COO at Bottom Line Property Management. And one thing that I pride on is, you know, I got news that they won 2023 Property Management Company of the Year in Charlotte's Best from the leadership that was there when I was there. And he and I ran that company for 2 years. And it ran like a well-oiled machine. It was definitely bittersweet having to leave and spread my wings and move into SCORE. But I knew that I would definitely be a bigger impact, and to go with my heart and what I knew on, you know, revenue acceleration, because in the end, that is what I do best. I'm able to see things from just beyond the computer screen, just beyond the numbers. I built a $2.2 million ERP system back in 2004 that gave me the ability to see data and how it flows back and forth. And then, you know, you see different things. There's different strategies. I have a revenue accelerator plan that actually is customized based on each company that I work with, to give them those maximum results, because it's not just money coming in, money coming out. You got to watch the flow of what you're doing and your processes and how you're managing things. All that stuff, goes into play here. It's not just, all right, I got to bring in more clients and I have to pay more expenses. There's different processes that can be done. I just have 3 simple strategies and it works every time. So
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Structure is a good thing. Structure is always a good thing, because believe me, I've operated without structure, and in some ways still operating without some structure in certain areas. So I totally listen. I'm not perfect. Anybody who tells you they're perfect, run.
No.
So
let me find them. Let me find them and talk to them, please.
I know. So yeah. So this has been a great conversation, because I feel like it's so needed in every area, in every industry right now. Like getting a handle on your finances, getting a handle on your leadership. It's like nothing is going to happen without leadership. Nothing. I promise you.
I agree. I agree.
Let me rephrase that. It can happen, and you're going to burn out.
Well, that's true. You will burn out if you try to think you can do it all on your own and think you know it all. If you go in with a big ego that, oh, I've got a big position and it'll definitely deflate like the balloon eventually. I've seen it. I have seen it countless times happen, and it's definitely scary to watch. People just try to hold it together, and when you're in a leadership too, you can't just like fly off the handle.
Exactly, right?
In front of your whole team or anything like that, or things of that nature. You have to control it very well. I know with Scott, I never seen him flustered out of everything. I'm like, how do you do it? I would just like joke with him, and there'd be times he was my behind the scenes comedy. If there was a moment and I was having a comedy event, he was my audience, and I thanked him so many times, because I had to have that moment, and he was my single audience in that I would share with the team too. But he got the brunt of all my jokes.
Yeah.
Now I get to share with you guys, all 70 of you.
I know, right? So here's the thing. That's so funny, right? Because remember, Suzanne, we have Tina and I, we have a mentor in common. And yesterday's challenge we had was to talk about emotions. So as you said that just now, I thought of that challenge, right? Where talk about emotions and how it's affected. How are you running your business? Are you running your business based on emotions, or are you running your business based on fact?
Facts.
Right? Emotions are facts. Emotions are always going to take you out. Always.
They're the worst decision makers. Step out of the emotion and make the right decision, because if you don't, we're always going to make the wrong one.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you're going to make a decision that's going to cost you more money than bringing the money in that Tina's trying to save you, dude.
That's true. Yes. Listen to the forefront. I know as a controller, Lorna, you can relate, as we cash forecast, right? So we can see things 3 months, 6 months. Yep. We know by the flow of the transactional data and the numbers, and watch it. And then we also do watch the economy. How is our industry being affected from our surroundings? So it's not just, it's not just our own individual bubble. Look, we're looking outside in the economy. What's the market looking like? What's our competitors doing? What's the other industries doing? Because certain industries are going to be impacted more than others based on the current economic climate, and then it just kind of just drills down. So that's one talent I also had, is I was able to predict the exact flow of everything to stay on top. Nothing faltered. Throughout the entire 2.5 years being with them, I was able to predict and was pretty much dead on throughout the entire time, which was good, to know like where this economy, but the only thing I did not expect was that inflation problem. I knew it was going to come, with it. We were in real estate as well, real estate sales, buying and selling with the investors in the company. So that was always up in the air. And I think that caused a lot more stress just in the industry in itself, of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think the inflation that hit us and that's still with us.
Yeah.
The reason, so I'm going to get disruptive, y'all. It's time.
Put the mute button on if you need to right now.
I'm not going to curse, but I'm going to say some stuff. You may not agree, but my invitation is to hear me out and then map it for yourself, right? So I was actually teaching this morning when I was coaching a client because she's getting into some investments that are new.
Mhm.
I did not know that split pad was such a huge thing in Florida, right? But anyway, so we're talking about split pads and we're talking about the strategies that she's going to be using to build her portfolio with this strategy, right? The split pad strategy. So one of the things I told her is to go into the market that she's planning on buying in. She gets to go in there and kind of look at the trends. So the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is like real estate is it's a pattern like everything else in life. Bitcoin is a pattern. Stock market is a pattern. Real estate is a pattern. They're all patterns. It's cyclical, right? So if you look at historic numbers, if you look at historic cycles, you can literally predict almost to the T what's going to happen. The difference with this inflation that got created, in my humble opinion, is that it wasn't the normal, like allowable, for the lack of a better word, right?
Correct.
It was
Correct.
created. This inflation, in my humble opinion, was created, which is why we didn't see it coming. Just saying.
I'm glad you said it.
I told you I was on this route.
From someone that predicts and sees pattern like I do, and I have seen that. Yeah, this did throw me for a loop because I am a pattern driven person. I've gone back hundreds of years, and it's usually pretty consistent if you look at it. But yeah, this definitely threw a lot of people for a loop. And people ask me, Tina, you're a strategist, how did you not see this level of impact coming? And I did to some degree because of strategies that I've worked with and some people that I know own businesses, but not at this level. This is the level I did not predict. And I just was hearing from in a workshop the other day. They said I was talking to a finance guy, and he's in my BNI network, and he said the next 18 months is going to be the most critical for any business of any size right now. If you are not working with someone that can see the overall flow of your company and come in and give you a true advice opinion on what can be done to maximize your revenue in any way possible, before you start cutting jobs, before you start laying people off, before you make drastic decisions, allow someone like SCORE Services or anyone familiar of what I do or whatnot, let them come in and offer you all we need to do is offer you a revenue accelerator plan. By doing that, then you make the decision what is best for your company. But don't just make the decision blindly, because we are in an unpredictable climate right now. So just don't think it's what you predicted, because as Lorna and I just, concluded, this was much, brought in on us with more statistics and strategies than we could have ever predicted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, it's all a matter of how you look at it, right? How you see the problem is the problem, right? So careful how you're looking at the problem.
Right. There's always a solution to the problem, but what side are you going to be on?
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So
this
awesome.
was a great conversation. So here's the thing. I know we're at time, or just about time.
Yeah.
We wanted to do a half an hour here with you all. Hope this conversation was of value to you. And I would love you to post in the comments, in the chat comments, and let us know your feedback, what you heard. And let Tina know the things that you would like her to bring to the table in these conversations, or whatever else that you you want to hear her talk about, who you want her to bring in to support you in your journey. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Tina, for having me here. If I could invite your audience to my Accelerate Her Summit, which is next Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern. That's a summit that's geared towards this conversation as well. It's all about empowering female entrepreneurs in the areas of money, health, wealth, and mindset. How do we shift you from the stuck or plateaued area of your life and your business right now into the next level of your life and your business, such that you're creating more cash, you have more time, and you have more freedom?
Exactly. Well said, well said. And we'll put the link down in the description information as well. So if anybody needs to come back and look at it, we will definitely have that. Thank you, Lorna.
Thank you, Tina. This was a fun conversation.
Yes, always. Looking forward to more.
All right.